Bernard Callegari. I want to thank you for joining me on this YouTube channel that I am starting. I want to thank you for taking the time out to see what's going on here. And of course, if there's anything that you enjoy or you think could help somebody, please like, subscribe, share the video. And definitely, if there's anything that you think you would like to see, or any constructive criticism that you may have, or any comments, please feel free to leave them at the end of this video. So here we are, right, standing in front of or behind me, the largest public housing projects in North America. 6 blocks, 96 buildings, 3,100 and something apartments. And this was my home for 20 years. My mom died. That was when I actually let go of the apartment. And I remember how scared I was, right? By that point, I already had 2 kids. I wasn't responsible enough to take care of them, right? Thank God for my ex-wife. But in 1999, I knew that I no longer had the safety net to fall back on. There was no more plan B. And that was when I started my road to independence and responsibility and taking care of my kids for real, for real. And I'm not ashamed to say that even in 6th grade, when I was graduating, elementary school, and people wrote in my yearbook, there was no doubt that most people thought I was most likely to be incarcerated or hooked on drugs. And they were right? Because I have been incarcerated. I was hooked on drugs, right? I no longer do things that get me incarcerated, and I no longer do drugs. But that's a long story in and of itself, right? And that was a battle in and of itself that I know a lot of people are facing. We are gonna find the common ground where we can all agree, or at least the majority of us can agree or identify with one another, and we're gonna meet each other there, and then we're gonna help each other get out of that, right? Whatever that is, right? Because I'm just like everybody else. I struggle. I have regular issues that I struggle with. I struggle with being the best dad that I can be. I struggle with relationships. I struggle with being a good employer. I struggle with being a good friend, right? These are not areas of my life that I feel like I've arrived at. I am continuing to work on myself and be a better person. But I don't want to take this walk alone, right? Because I know that there's been a lot of areas that I have grown in. And there's no arrival point, there's no destination, right? Along this journey, I could take other people with me, just like other people have taken me with them, right? I don't do this alone, right? I don't want to name names today, right? I want to make sure I have permission, or I really think about that and think before I include someone or break someone else's anonymity, right? But I have heroes in my life. People that when I'm presented with a situation just like this, right, when I had the idea of starting this channel, I spoke to a bunch of people, friends of mine, my team, right, my life team, right, because life is not easy, right, and I can't do this all by myself. I don't know where I learned that I thought that I needed to have all the answers, but I don't, right? The real power is in knowing that I don't have the answers, right, and when I was willing to be humble and vulnerable and ask someone for help, there were people that were there that were willing to help me, right? But like the old proverb says, right? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? And students listen, and students learn, and students ask questions. And I like to believe that we're all students of this class called life, right? And it's not easy, and sometimes it's tough. And sometimes I want to give up, and sometimes I don't want to get out of bed, right? This is real stuff, right? But there are principles that I've learned to live by that they are simple in nature. They are not easy, but they are simple, right? Like perseverance, right? Like continuing to pedal no matter what. Even when it looks like the odds are against me. Even when it looks like no progress is being made. Even when the hill looks really steep. I just got to change gears and keep pedaling. Right? Because the road to success is a continuous uphill journey. I don't get to stop pedaling. It wasn't too far from here when I used to ride my bike in the street, and I would love to ride really fast and then stop pedaling. No hands, right? But that's not how life works. I got to keep pedaling, right? I don't get to stop, right? And sometimes, it's tough. And sometimes I need other people to help push me, right? And We're going to get vulnerable on this channel, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. The successes, the fact that I got to walk my daughter down the aisle at her wedding, right? The fact that I was able to help my son and his wife get married, right? The fact that I was my son's best man, right? When my son asked me what the definition of a best man was, and I told him the definition, I Googled it, and I read to him what it said. And he said, well, then I guess it's obvious you're my best man. I can't express to you what these joys feel like, right? You know, there's one story, and I'm probably going to cut this, right? But I want to share it, right? Because when I think about the burden that I used to be to my family, you know, one day my daughter, Tiffany, who's 26, when she was little, like 4 years old, she went into one of the pharmacies with her grandmother, and they had my picture in the manager's booth because of the things that I used to do in that part of my life. And my daughter, being young, was like, wow, that's my daddy. And the manager was like, no, that's not your daddy. And her grandmother was so embarrassed because it was. Because that was the life I used to live, right? And I'm not saying I'm proud of that, right? But I'm not ashamed to tell that story, right? Because today I know that when my daughter says, that's my daddy, she says it with pride. Because I'm not the person I used to be, right? And I'm not, this has nothing against anyone who grew up in a different household, right? Because we all have problems and they don't all look the same. I know people who grew up with both their parents, none of their parents did drugs, and they still grew up with some type of trauma and issues, right? That affected them and prevented them from achieving the things they wanted to achieve in life. So I am by no means saying that if you didn't live the type of life I lived, that you didn't struggle. I believe we all have our own struggles, right? And I'm just grateful, right, that I got through mine, right? And that I was able to somehow overcome some of the obstacles and hurdles that were in my life. Some of them were placed there before I even got here. Some of them I put myself. Sometimes I was my own worst enemy, right? And today that's not the case, right? Today I believe I deserve good things, right? Today I have a good life, and today I want to help other people to have a good life, right? And for those of you who know me, right, listen, this is very uncomfortable to me. I do not want to blow smoke, and I certainly do not want to put myself on some pedestal, right? By myself, on my own, without God or the people in my life, I am horrible. And I do horrible things, right? And I am not that good of a person, right? I don't believe that I'm not, deep down, I'm a good person. No, I needed to go deep down and clean out all that stuff that was there, all that misinformation, all the stuff I was taught that was preventing me from loving other people and being a part of this society in a positive way, right? And we don't have to share the same beliefs. That's okay, because at the end of the day, right, the solution still looks the same, whatever the situation might be. What it really comes down to is caring about other people, right? And caring what happens to other people, and wanting to be of service to other people. And I think this only happened for me. Once I realized how grateful I was and how it didn't have to be this good, I became willing to want to help other people. And I realized that it's a privilege to respond to a cry for help. When someone asks me, can I help them? If it's in my power, I help them. Because I don't believe that I have been saved and protected and rescued all the times that I've been, only to ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. I believe, and I'm not alone, I don't think I'm the only one, I believe that there's a purpose in my life. And that purpose is to share the things that I've been through, to help you out of the woods, so that you can help someone else out of the woods, just like somebody helped me out of the woods. So I just want to thank you again for tuning in. I want to encourage you, please, if there's anybody you think that can benefit from this, please share it with them. right? Of course, if you can like and subscribe to the channel, there's definitely a lot more to come. You know, I'm going to look in the comments section, and we're going to talk about the topics that people want to talk about. Or maybe the topics that people don't want to talk about. The things that people are afraid to talk about. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to get better here. We're going to grow here. And we're going to do it together. So thank you. Appreciate you.